So you finished the tutorial island of Kefalonia, and you want to face the wider world of Greece, but you're unhappy with your damage, and all of the builds you've looked up are for level 50 or level 70 or level 99, and they're like, just get perfect epic gear with maximum crit chance, which is great if you're at those levels, but at these levels there is no epic gear. Or maybe you're in one of those mid-levels. You're in the 20s or 30s, and you're looking for a way to boost your damage while you wait to get to the point where crit builds really start to come into their own. So what do you do in order to get damage? Well, you get a legendary step from the store. Well, actually no. You would think that, but no. If I have this fancy Ezio armor, I got it at level 1 because it automatically added to my inventory when I started a new character. But even with all this fancy armor, that's still only 7% assassin damage per piece. There's still only 6 pieces. There's the 5 of these plus the sword, plus a club item that has assassin damage on it. Even with all of that, I'm still topping out at 77%, which is not nothing. It's okay. It's not bad. But it's not enough to one-shot even like the upper mid-level guys, much less mercenaries. But you want an assassin build that one-shots people. You want it to deal damage. You want it to kill stuff. You want the Blade of Yumminess. And the Blade of Yumminess is great at these levels because 250% all damage is bonkers. Like, these numbers are huge for this level. And the drawback, cannot use abilities, is not a huge deal because you don't have that many abilities. I've only got a handful of points, and even if I put them all in abilities, the abilities that I can unlock wouldn't be that great. I'd only have the level 1 versions of those abilities until I progress further in the story. And it's very possible to play without those abilities, especially when you deal so much damage. I think it especially works great as an assassin build if you want that classic Assassin's Creed style of sneak up on guys and one-shot them from behind. There's the question then of where do I find this Blade of Yumminess? Well, it's available for sale at blacksmiths. It will randomly show up in their inventories, and you can buy it. But there's a problem, and that problem is that the Blade of Yumminess at a blacksmith is really expensive relative to your level. It's going to cost about 64 times as much as a common item would. It's going to cost like 20-something times what a rare item would. So you're going to need a lot of money. So we need to earn money. How do we earn money at low levels? Well, we loot things and sell them. But if I loot things that are my level and sell them, they're not going to be worth very much. Like, rare items at my level are worth like maybe 100 or 150. Drug me, and I don't get them that often. Common items are worth like 50 or 60, maybe 65. But what I can do is I can go to a high-level area like this one, and I can just loot weapons that are level 44 off a rack. Now that bow right there, that'll sell for like 280, more than double what the stuff I would normally pick up would sell for. And there's weapon racks all along this wall in Ashea. We are going to use something that's really great, a technique to get these weapon racks to respawn really fast, and it's called user-created stories. So we're going to go to our options, we're going to hit gameplay, we're going to turn on story creator mode so that user-created stories will appear in the world, and I have added this story here to my log ahead of time, the Petrii Wall Run, which will take me along this wall and show me where all the weapon racks are that I need to loot in order to gather them, and then let me restart, and I can just do that over and over again, and every time I do that, I will get more and more stuff that I can sell. Or once I'm inside, I can just hit my quest log and restart or exit that story and keep all of the stuff that I pick up inside that story, and that would work great. But I'm going to show you this story real quick, just do a single run through of the story to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like, and some of the features that I built into it that makes it better than the average story for doing a weapon run. So just loot that weapon rack. Standing in that location will start the quests for the run, and it'll take you through and give you quest markers for each of the weapon racks along this wall, as well as some quest markers to try and help you find like an optimal path to the next weapon rack location. And there's a special feature that I built in to try and help out characters who have, or players who have really fast or really slow load times. And that is something that we're going to see up here right around the corner, where you have the option to end the story early if the next weapon rack is too far away. So that one's up there. It's a little bit further away than the others, plus you have to run uphill. So the first place that you can stop is that check mark right there. And if I ran there, that would finish the quest, and the story would stop, and I can either restart or exit. But I'm going to keep going. There's 2 more weapon racks up here. And that was relatively fast. So for most people, I would say, especially on PC, you're going to want to stop probably here, maybe the one before. But there are more weapon racks if you want to stick it out. We're going to take a shortcut. Not really a shortcut, it's kind of the only path. But we're going to take this route over here to get to the other section of wall on the other side of the city. And this run is particularly long. So it's not really worth doing if your load times are very fast. But if your load times are really slow, you're probably better off running over here and grabbing the last couple of weapon racks instead of loading earlier. So I'm just going to finish that out so we can see how that would go. So there's one more here. There's one more right up here in this tower. And then there's a final one right along the wall up here. And even though the wall continues all the way to the ocean, there actually aren't any more weapon racks until all the way at the very end of the wall right here. So there's one more there. This entire stretch of wall is empty. And if you're a higher level, these items will have a better chance of being rare or epic. And you can use these farming techniques to farm money or materials to upgrade your ship, to upgrade your engraving levels, anything you might need money for. You can use this technique. And it works great. And if you're wanting to farm in an area because you particularly like that area, and you can't find a story, and you don't want to go through the trouble of building the story yourself, you can always enter any story that's nearby. And once you've farmed what you want to farm, instead of finishing the story by actually doing the quest, you can just come to your quests log, and you can hit this cancel story button, and you can hit cancel, and it'll skip to this screen, which is what we saw after we saw the check mark. And you can hit restart to farm again, or you can hit escape to exit the story. And the last thing that I'm going to cover is after we come out of this, we're going to head over to a blacksmith. We're going to go over a technique for finding very high quality epic rolls at higher levels, and something that we can use if we're just starting out, if we're a fresh character who's level 8 or 7 or 5 or 9 or whatever level you are when you left Kefalonia, to try and find that Blade of Yumminess, which you can find at any level. And this is the way I would recommend doing it. So what you want to do is you want to head to a blacksmith, and there's actually 2 in this town, which makes it a great location if your load times are long, because you can visit 2 blacksmiths each time you load, instead of just 1. And once you get to that blacksmith, on PC, you can save right in front of him. It works perfectly fine. I've heard mixed results on console for doing that. Sometimes you need to save from further away in order to get it to work right. We'll go into what working right looks like in a second as soon as we get over to this blacksmith. So we're just going to check his inventory when we get there, right in front of him. And we're just going to talk to him, we're going to check his inventory, and we're going to make a mental note of what this inventory looks like. So there's 3 swords, 4 daggers, 2 rare daggers. That's just kind of some real quick, easy to notice things. A lot of times, if you go in a second time, it'll be a different inventory the second time, but then the third time it'll be the same inventory. This time we're not so lucky, it's the same inventory the second time. So we're just going to go ahead and load. And after we come out of this load, we're going to do a quick check to see if his inventory is changing. And if the inventory is changing every time, that's good. That's what we're looking for. We want the inventory to be different every time so that we can see different items. And every time we see that inventory come up, we're going to check for whatever item we happen to be looking for. At higher levels, maybe you're looking for that epic item with those perfect rolls. At this level, I'm level 8. I'm looking for that Blade of Yumminess. I'm not looking for it because I got it on Kefalonia. Not something I would recommend. Check out my other video of me doing going over the technique for that. I don't think anyone should do it, but it's doable, just to prove that it's possible. But yeah, so that's the technique. That's how you farm the money. That's how you farm the blacksmith. And we're just going to keep loading until we find the Blade of Yumminess. I'm not going to put that in the video because it's boring. But that's how you do it. And that 250% damage bonus is going to get you high enough where you're going to be one-shotting guys when you get to Mega Reese. And because your base damage goes up as you level for assassinations, it's going to it's going to scale with you pretty well, all the way into the 20s and 30s, maybe even the 40s, about when you would want to think about switching to one of those crit-based, epic-based builds anyway. And that's it. That's the technique. Those are the 2 stories I would recommend for this technique. There are others. I know there's some other wall runs like Thebian. There's some Athens wall run stories as well, but any story will work. There's also stories like this one, Kill the Enemies in Masara, where the best way to use them is to loot the nation chest that's in the fort nearby and then just leave, and then just do that over and over again. That also works. Whatever you prefer. It's all the same kind of idea. You create the new instance of the game by going into a user story, you find what you want and take it, and then you leave or you restart. And that's all there is to it. Check out the description for links, and have a good night, good day, good afternoon, wherever you are.